Welcome to Thursday night on the PPR channel. It is time for Southern Discomfort. And we just are coming off of completing a series on the Satanic Panic. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and be sure that you go check out that series. But tonight, I've got something very, very special for y'all. We've got a special guest, and I will introduce them here in just a little bit until we will wait a minute and give some folks some time to jump on. Also, let everybody know that we are still continuing our series on the book of Revelation on Sunday night with Immortal Shadows, and we're going to be jumping back into the bowl judgments. So if you haven't been keeping up with that, be sure to come on and join us. It's not too late. So I hope everybody has been having a good week. And we are also streaming on Facebook. So thank you for everybody who was joining us on all of those outlets, PPR channel, Facebook, Yo Baby channel. Hey, PW, welcome to the chat. Thank you for coming to hang out with us tonight. My co-host, who is so much better looking than I am, my beautiful fiance, Bethany, I don't think she will be joining us tonight. She has got kiddo stuff going on, but she will be back with us Sunday night, Lord willing. Hey, Kenneth, welcome to the chat. Thank you for coming to hang out with us. I hope everybody is really getting in the mood for spooky season. I know that I have. And like lately, I have just been on this huge Italian horror movie kick. I always get into that this time of year, but I have certain ones that I watch all throughout the year, every time. Like I'm always watching some Fulci. I'm watching Demons. I'm going to watch Zombie. I'm going to watch Argento's Tenebrae, opera. I also like Stage Fright. Also, Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy. That always puts me in the Halloween mood. And so I hope you're in the movie mood for us here on Southern Discomfort in the weeks to come, because we're going to be breaking down our top 10 in a bunch of areas of horror movies. We're going to be talking about our top 10 vampire flicks, our top 10 werewolf flicks, our top 10 slashers, our top 10 ghost movies, our top 10 demon movies, and our top 10 creepy doll movies. So that's what we will have in the weeks to come leading up to Halloween. And so be sure to share in the chat. You can do it tonight and especially in the weeks to come, some of your favorite Halloween movies or what you plan on watching this year. I think for me this year on Halloween, I'm going back to some of my favorite black and white movies. I'm going to be watching Psycho, House on Haunted Hill, The Wolfman, Frankenstein, Freaks. So a lot of black and white movies I'm on that kick for Halloween night. That's what I am going to be doing, just digging back deep in the past to pull out some of those classics. So be sure to let us know in the weeks to come. And when we're doing those top 10, be sure to drop your favorites if they're not on the list, because when it gets down to the bottom, right? You got your top tier movies that you know are going to be in there. But then when you start getting down to 7, 8, 9, 10, you have so many movies that are good at that level. It's so difficult to pick from. So that's the struggle that I had making out these lists when I got down to the bottom, because there's so many that are good, especially when you get into the werewolf movies, the vampires, creepy dolls, not so much. But everything else, slashers, demons, ghosts, it's really hard to weed out. So I had to do some hard thinking to come up with some of those bottom 3 on my top 10 list. So I'm excited to share that with y'all. However, tonight, y'all have heard me for the past several weeks mentioning the Black Sabbath charity anthology. Well, it has officially released yesterday. Symptom of the Universe. This is put out by Dark Moon Rising publication, which love that name, especially being a huge werewolf fan. Dark Moon Rising Publications in Casey Hill, and it was edited by J.C. Macek the third, and we had a plethora of authors. This book is thick, man. Thick. I think it's like JC will probably be able to tell me once I bring him up here, but I think it's like 700 something pages in print. And I kid y'all not, I've glanced through it. So I did just like a cursory reading of all the stories before tonight, just so I could get it in. Y'all, every single one of these stories is good. I cannot wait to go back and get fully immersed in them. It's very rare that you get an anthology and you read through an anthology and every single story is like, "Ooh, that's good. Ooh, that's good." This one is that way. So tonight here in just a minute, I'm going to be pulling up the head editor behind this anthology, J.C. Macek, and all of the proceeds for this book go to the DO Cancer Fund. This is a charity anthology. So you are not only supporting authors and editors and all of us who put the time in to get the book together by purchasing it and reading our stories, you're also giving towards a great cause. So Symptom of the Universe, it's out on Amazon now. It's going to be out on Godless in the ebook version on September 22nd. So this is hot. Y'all don't want to miss this. I also had planned on another one of the authors joining us tonight, Mr. Bert Edens, who is just a fantastic guy. It would have been so much fun having him because he's hilarious. And he's in Spain right now, so his internet connection was not working very well, and we couldn't get it. We couldn't hear, like we could hear him, he couldn't hear us, so it just wasn't working. But I'm going to have Bert back on at some point in the near future. But I put both JC and Bert's information there in the chat. I'm going to be putting the links to their stuff as well. That way you can check out some of their other things that they've got going on. But I have rambled enough. I'm going to go ahead and I've got JC waiting down in the dungeon. Hopefully he hasn't been eaten alive by our trolls down there and all the other horrific things creeping in the darkness. So I'm going to go ahead and pull JC up. JC.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Welcome
How's
to
it going,
Southern
my
Discomfort.
friend?
Welcome, man. Glad to have you on.
It's great to be here, my friend. That dungeon's pretty scary, but it was worth the wait.
Yeah, it can get pretty rank down there, for sure. So just to let everybody know, JC is also a Louisiana boy like myself.
This is true.
Yeah, where was it? Where was your old stomping ground?
Well, so I was born in Texas, and then my family and I moved to Ville Platte in South Louisiana, and then up to Alla in Central Louisiana. And then I grew up in Shreveport for years and years and years until I moved out to California. So I've been, down south, Central Louisiana, and all the way about as far north as you can get before you're up in Mississippi. So all around Louisiana, and now I'm a Californian.
Yeah, very cool, man. Well, let's talk about this Black Sabbath and anthology. You've also got several stories. Tell me about those stories you got in there.
So there are 7 that I did, and I tried to challenge myself because I was also the editor and the curator of this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to just do the same story over and over again. So I ended up challenging myself. I did a short one called Bleed for the Dancer, which is based, of course, on Heaven and Hell. Then I did an adaptation, or I should say an inspiration from Ear in the Wall, from when Dio returned, right just before they split off to do Heaven and Hell.
Okay.
Let's see, Johnny Blade was one of mine. So I took Johnny Blade from the, I'm sorry, I'm slipping my head right now, but the Never Say Die album. And that was a good one. That's got a nice twist to it. And let's see, I did a Symptom of the Universe, and so yeah, they all ended up being really good stories. Not quite as good as Ezekiel Kincaid's, but I'm pretty proud of everyone that I came up with.
Yeah, man, they are great. Hey, mom and son, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us. Now, I've told everybody this, but I'm gonna mention it again. Every story in the book is inspired by a song from Black Sabbath. Now, how many stories total are in the book? Do you recall?
Yeah, we've got 44 total. So
44.
It's 200,000 words.
200,000 words. And so was I right? It's like 700 something pages in print.
Yeah, it's over 600. So yeah, this is a big. It's basically a telephone book at this point.
Yeah, you were definitely getting your money's worth with that. So 44 stories based on 44 different Black Sabbath songs. Now,
Yeah.
JC, tell us a little bit about the breadth of the Sabbath catalog that these songs cover.
Absolutely. So the important part here was that we didn't want to just do adaptations. We didn't want to just say, okay, let's hear about Iron Man turning to steel. We didn't want to hear about, necessarily having a hooded character at the foot of your bed. What we wanted to do was have stories inspired by Black Sabbath songs. And so the goal was to have at least one song from every album. So from the first 1970 album, the first album, then on to Paranoid. Then we had to go on from there to do Master of Reality. We have songs from Volume 4, goes all the way up. And one of the most important things was to make sure we even got some of the more obscure tracks. So I mentioned Ear in the Wall earlier. Ear in the Wall is one of the songs from Dio when Dio rejoined the band well after, he came and went a little bit there. But for the Dio years, the box set, they recorded 3 new songs. And so we've covered one of those. So the Dio years is also covered. And also for Reunion, the live album, when Ozzy rejoined, there were 2 new songs there. So we have that covered. So every single album from Black Sabbath has at least one song turned into a story, and that also includes Heaven and Hell. So the Heaven and Hell band, when they joined up and they made The Devil You Know, we have John Souter taking care of a great song from The Devil You Know. So all the way up until the last album, 13, we've got at least one from every album.
Yeah. So this thing is it's phenomenal. Like I've been a part of a bunch of different anthologies, and I'm excited about every single one that I'm a part of. But this one is just something special about it.
Oh yes.
And just the creative twist that every author put on the songs is just so freaking cool, man.
It really is.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is because they really paid attention to not just telling, let's put in all the lyrics. Let's find a way to stick this lyric in here. No, they took the song and they used it as inspiration. And if you don't mind me calling you out a little bit, you were one of the prime examples there. So, when you turned in Life Will Take Its Toll, I opened it up. I had no idea what to expect. And I read it and I said to myself, this is just incredible, you know? And so it was such a very different thing from what I came to expect. You took the inspiration from the song, and it was exactly what I was looking for and nothing that I expected. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about your process as far as taking that song and turning it into Life Will Take Its Toll?
Yeah. So for those of you, it's not one of the most well-known Black Sabbath songs, but it's from the song "Virtual Death," and it's basically about this guy who his life is just fading before his eyes, and he feels like nobody around him is taking any sort of notice. So I took the spirit of that, and I created a character who works at a toll booth in Louisiana off on Lake Pontchartrain. And he's a former alcoholic. I took inspiration from that in my own life. A lot of y'all know I've been very open about my addiction in the past and overcoming that. He's also an ex-con, and he was married to a very extremely abusive woman who's ruined his relationship with his kids. And so he's trying to get back on his feet, and he's in his toll booth just ruminating over everything. And he's got the intrusive voices going on. And as the story progresses, his mental state just begins, he spirals. And you're just watching the guy spiral the whole time, and you know it is not going to end well. And it doesn't. So
Definitely doesn't.
this story is not a gore fest throughout the whole time. It's psychological horror until the very end.
Yeah.
Then you get your shocking ending like that. So that's a little bit behind my story that I've got in this anthology.
It's very much thinking man's horror, and that's what appealed to me about it, is that this story, it really brings you in. It really drags you in, because you can truly relate to this guy. He's not necessarily the most wonderful guy, but he's been through pain like so many of us can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of really go in and you feel for this fellow, and just so much that has been lost in his the isolation of the toll booth alone is very telling. And it really comes to a big surprise, which I will not ruin, but it's very psychological, and it is very much a thinking man's horror story, a thinking person's horror story, and I congratulate you for it.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Out of the ones that you have written for the anthology, what is the one? I guess what is the one story that hits close to home for you? Like, what is that one story that you're like, man, this out of any of the stories, this is the one I want people to connect with?
For me, I'd love to say it would be Johnny Blade, because it's got so much action. It's got so much of a surprise twist to it. But the honest to God truth is it's the one that's a bit more obscure, kind of like one of the ones you chose, but it's the one from the Dio years, Ear in the Wall, which I know I've mentioned a couple of times. But this story, it starts out in a very picturesque town, and it ends up being a very much a kind of a Twilight Zone episode in ways that I didn't intend to begin with. I wanted to have a certain number of surprises there, but it ended up feeling like an Outer Limits or a Twilight Zone, because this picturesque town that this guy is in, it gets better every year. Every year it gets a little bit better. The only problem with this town is that every so often somebody disappears. And when I say disappears, I mean they are gone. I don't mean they died. I don't mean they moved. I mean there is no trace of them. They can't find anything. And that's the only problem in this otherwise perfect town. And everything else seems okay until they continue to investigate some of these disappearances. And somebody discovers there are listening devices in some of these walls in this picturesque, perfect town. And it leads them to another investigation that takes you somewhere that, you know, I feel like I should pay anybody who can figure out the twist before it comes, because it's definitely a different kind of thing. But it also, it doesn't, it has a very bleak feel to it underneath, but there's also just a bit of hope to it, to where it doesn't leave you necessarily feeling like, you know, like everything is lost. There's something in there that kind of gives you that feeling that things could go either way.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Casey. Casey's on the Facebook side. That is our publisher, Casey.
Hey, Casey.
We are talking about the anthology, Casey. So I want to come back to that story because I want to make a connection with it with your other works. But do you remember the story that Bert wrote? Do you remember what his was?
Yes, gosh, there's so many of them that I might need a little refresher.
I'm trying to remember too, because he's not here to tell us.
He's not here to tell us, but I can absolutely check it out quickly, because it's really, and I'm going to fade away as I check it, but it's really was a fantastic story. It's just that, you know, of course, trying to get everything, I'm on my phone, of course, and so that's everything at once right there. But yeah, Bert Edens, and if I could just real quick, as we're looking at this, Bert, are you aware of his upcoming anthology that he's planning? Because it's got kind of a similar vibe, and I think it deserves a good shout out.
Yeah, the Blue Oyster Cult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that one, and I've written something for that's that I'll share soon. But yeah, let me go ahead and circle back to what you were asking. Bert created a story called Bitches Holler. And, you know, as in hollow, as in, you know, a kind of a remote part of the woods, you know, a hollow. And it's essentially, it's based on Lady Evil from the Dio, the Dio song that you're pretty familiar with. And Bert has a way as a writer to kind of bring you into this world that, again, and the thing that I love so much about all these stories, it takes you in a very different direction. So for Bert, what you've got here is just a group of guys in, you know, rural area in the South, and they need to go and check out this Bitches Holler. And it's really was originally, I believe it was called Witches Hollow, but it kind of went in, and, you know, the way nicknames get thrown around to different scary places. You know, you still live in Louisiana. There's so many scary things in Louisiana, and this story could just as well have taken place in any number of them. But as they go through these woods, they have several different revelations that are very disturbing. And of course, they come on to the title bitch, if you will, the Lady Evil herself. And it brings you to a very different place than you might have expected it to go. And it follows the lyrics to the extent that that if you know it's inspired by Lady Evil, you know, you can kind of feel some of that.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's completely unpredictable. And that's one of the things I love about Bert. He really manages to pull that off. Yeah.
And I know he has books out. Dead Orphans is one of them. And the other one, I want to make sure I get it right. Was it Dismembering the Coop, the Alice Cooper one?
Yes, Dismembering the Coop. I'm so sorry that I missed out on that one, because it's such a great book, and I'm a big Alice Cooper fan. So as soon as he mentioned that he was doing Blue Oyster Cult at some point, I started writing that day, and I'm just waiting for November 1st when he starts to accept submissions, because Dismembering the Coop is awesome.
I got to get rolling on mine. Like I didn't even know. I didn't find out about Dismember the Coop until after this anthology. I'm like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, people doing heavy metal anthologies. I was like, this is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So I put Bert's link in there. Now, JC, swinging back to your story. And what I wanted to mention in just like the twists and turns and stuff, and you talking about a twist that you don't see coming. Now you're a crime writer, crime fiction, right? And you have several books out that are in that genre, crime, horror, fiction. Go ahead and talk about some of those.
Sure. Yeah. I'll tell you, the whole thing started with this. The main books that I'm known for are the Jake Slater mysteries. Jake Slater is a private detective in San Diego, California. And everything is based in some way in reality. So there was the first novel is called 7 Days to Die. And that kind of came about. I was looking for some method of telling this story that I had read about construction, just as simple as construction in San Diego, California. They were digging to build a college. It was a law school, and they came across ancient bones. They came across the skeleton of a mammoth, and they had to stop. And then they came across the skeleton of an ancient whale, both completely extinct, where these are not extant species in any way. And I thought, how fascinating that is. But I know about these things because we have this mass media, we have internet, and people talk about these things right away. Somebody can come across these bones and immediately Google what it is, or know who to call at least. And I thought, what if we were in a modern age, still modern, but not with the internet, not with immediate information, and someone comes across these strange bones? How would they interpret that? Would they automatically think, oh, this is a dinosaur, this is a whale? Or would they think, oh, this is a leviathan, this is, something else? And if you look at a mastodon skull the wrong way, it definitely doesn't look like an elephant.
Yeah.
It looks like a demon. And so I thought, what better way to do that than just take it back a few decades to the 1940s? And that's how that came to be, that I said to myself, let's take this before mass media and still tell this story as best we can, to where we've got enough modernization, but no way to verify these things in any quick way. And that became the first story. And this most recent book is called The Black Dahlia. It is the only true crime. Like I said, everything's a little bit based in reality, but this is the only true crime book that I've written.
Okay.
And the Black Dahlia is absolutely one of my most acclaimed stories books, is that it really does delve into the real life murder of Elizabeth Short in Hollywood, goes through the research of all the possible suspects and comes to a conclusion, and satisfy everybody who's read it. Says they love the ending because it both explains who the killer is and takes care of, a satisfying mystery, but at the same time explains why it is that in our real world, that mystery is still unexplained. There's got to be a reason. If you're going to solve that mystery, there's got to be a reason that everybody else doesn't know about it. What is that reason? That's the secret to the end of the Black Dahlia.
Oh man, that sounds great.
I had a good time with it.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. So yeah. I'm gonna post your Amazon link in here.
Thank you.
Right this second. So I'm gonna close out here. I posted it at the beginning, but I know things get lost in the comments. There we go. Posted it in chat. Y'all can get on there and check out JC's stuff. Now I'm gonna brag on you some more, JC. So not only is JC a writer and an editor, he is also a film critic and a filmmaker. So dive into that aspect of your talent for us.
It's interesting because there's so many different projects that, especially in Southern California, you can work on something for a long time and that never makes the screen. So I've got screenplays out there, I've got writing out there that is being considered here and there. But one of the things that I always have done, be it stage or screen or anything else, is, acting. And so I've done a good bit of acting. I've been in some music videos. I've been in a little bit of television. And in becoming a critic, I kind of, Jed, I need to be a little more objective here. I kind of backed a little bit away from doing anything that had to do with my own art. But I ended up becoming good friends with a lot of independent filmmakers. And so I ended up getting parts, offered to me. And I said, well, okay, maybe I can stop backing away from that so much. It's the integrity part is not reviewing myself and giving my own movies just brilliant reviews. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've done a few films out there. I've got my IMDb page. You guys can check it out. Of little bit of TV there, and you can find, just Google my name. You should see some of the music videos and stuff. One of the things I think was the most fun was being in a music video for a love song, but it was more of an action plot in the video. So I played a Mad Max like villain, one of the raiders in the California desert. And so I can send you that. The song's called "Beat of My Heart," and it's from a European artist. So that was a lot of fun. But one of the best things I think that I've done was a movie called Cargo. This was done with my friend James Dillon, and
I watched that one.
Great. And so he and I came up with the ideas together. We created the characters together. I named some of the characters. I named the movie itself. And a lot of the plot came from James. James is a very intelligent guy and very much knows how to envision something that he knows he can make. So if we're not going to get an investment of, hundreds of thousands of dollars or however much, it's going to be, he always has an eye to how are we going to get this done and get it done artistically. Whereas, me being more of a novelist, I'm kind of more, let's make it spectacular, so James has a way of keeping me grounded. But so we did Cargo, starring Ron Thompson. Unfortunately, he passed away this year in 2024. Phenomenal actor. He was on the TV show Beretta. He did Greatest American Hero. He's in a few episodes. And one of the things that he was best known for was American Pop, which is Ralph Bakshi's rotoscoped celebration of American rock and roll. So we did that one, and I'm producer on that one, and I played two roles, voice roles actually. And the only person seen on the screen for the entire movie is Ron.
Mm-hmm.
And so James and I got to talking about this when the shooting was done, and I said, I've already published a novel. Why don't we do a novelization of this movie we made together? And James said to me, hey, I don't have to do any work. I love the idea. Do it. And so I wrote the novelization of Cargo, and it became, to this day, the novelization is my biggest hit, actually. Okay. And the soundtrack to Cargo was done by Thorsten Quashning from Picture Palace Music. He's also in Tangerine Dream. Tangerine Dream being, one of the biggest, German bands, and they've done a lot of beautiful soundtracks for a lot of wonderful movies. And so that soundtrack has got Ron Thompson's face on it, and it's a great one. And so if you guys are interested in some really good music from a side project from the front man of Tangerine Dream, I got a black cat on me here. But if you're interested in that, definitely check out the Cargo soundtrack from Picture Palace Music. Check out the novel, check out the film. It'll be worth your time because they're unique. It's definitely not your standard everyday movie.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I watched it. It's on Tubi. I know people who watch the show love Tubi. And so you can get Cargo. You can watch it on Tubi. Is it on Amazon as well to rent?
I think it's still available for purchase, but it's not available for rent at this point. So the original the original distributor that we had, the contract's expired. So James owns the contract, owns the rights. And so the next thing that's going to happen, he's still figuring out exactly where to distribute it next. And so right now, that's the best place to find it.
Okay. Yep. So check it out. It was a very, very cool movie, very interesting concept. It made me like, I want to get the book now after watching it, because in the book you're always going into more detail and you get the thoughts in the character's head and everything and stuff like that. So I'm definitely gonna be grabbing me a copy of the book for sure, and the Johnny Blade one.
Oh, great!
Like all you had to do was say Leviathan and Mastodon, and I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, that's the first, the 7 Days to Die. So I think you'd get a kick out of that one. That's my first novel that was ever published.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, movie wise, do you have anything else in the works coming up anytime soon?
For me, there are some ideas that I've been playing with, but James Dillon is still, I still work with James Dillon quite a bit, and he's still a very close friend of mine. He is working with an actor named Elliot. That's the full name. Elliot has been in a lot of good things, including the Stand and Deliver, which was Edward James Olmos was very famous for Stand and Deliver. Elliot is one of the major characters in that one. And he's been in a number of different really good roles on TV and movies. He and James are working on a great new film called I Raise the Dead. And it has, I don't want to give anything away. This is something that James and I did work together on, but again, the screenplay is 100% James Dillon. It is essentially, it's about one amazing character who has the ability to raise the dead. And it sounds like, wow, that must be an amazing gift to have. But as the story goes on, it gets a lot of surprises as far as maybe this is not the thing that you necessarily want, and maybe it's not the same thing every time. That's all I'll say. And if you guys are wanting to know more about that one, there is a fundraiser up for that, crowdsourcing fundraiser. I can give Mr. Kincaid here the link to that, so you guys can take a look at it and see if you guys can help bring that movie to life.
Yeah, man. Look, send me that link, and every show I'll pop it in the chat. We'll pop it in there, so people can check it out. So, Black Sabbath Anthology, that is released right now on Amazon. I'm going to pull up that great cover again.
I love it. Such a beautiful thing. And I do want to say that is Casey Hill's cover.
Okay.
So Casey did that, and she based it on the lyrics to the song Symptom of the Universe. So as soon as I said, I think this is our title, Casey said, let me see what I can do. And so she came up with this, beautiful concept of the winged unicorn with the moon. And she's really, and I want to also say there's no AI. There's a little bit of stock in there, but she used no AI. She chose the fonts. She put it together beautifully, and it's really something to be proud of.
Yeah, it is. Very cool. So that is out now on Amazon. You can get it in ebook and paperback, but you can also get it on Godless, available the 22nd. Now, I'm trying to remember, is it only going to be on Godless for a limited time?
No, actually, she's had some good conversations with Drew Stepik, who runs Godless. And so the previous anthology, which is not mine, I mean, I'm in it, but the previous anthology was Nature Triumphs from the same publisher. And so that one's available. And so it looks as if there's going to be a good relationship between Dark Moon Rising Publications and Godless. So I think it's going to be continuing.
It'll stay up there. So, you can get it on Godless or Amazon. So check that thing out. A lot of hard work went into this, a lot of hours. And again,
so much.
everything goes towards the DO Cancer Fund. And, you know, it's a perfect time to do this show because we just came off of the Satanic Panic about that and the demonization of heavy metal music. So it's perfect time to plug this little anthology. And y'all be sure to check out JC's work. Also, Bert's. Let me put Bert's link back in there.
Please do.
I hate that technology kind of ruined that. We weren't able to connect him being all the way over there in Spain.
Yeah, but at least he's having a great vacation, right?
Heck yeah. I mean, Spain. So...
And it's interesting about the Satanic Panic as well, because, you know, Black Sabbath, they tended to be a lightning rod for a lot of that. And it is true. They did, you know, sing a lot of occult type songs. But whenever I hear that, I always point out Ronnie Dio is Catholic. I think toward the end, he wasn't really practicing. But the main lyricist for most or quite a bit of the time was Geezer Butler. He's a devout Catholic still to this day. Tony Iommi was Catholic. Ozzy Osbourne still to this day is Anglican. And Bill Ward is an atheist, but you know, none of these guys are actually devil worshippers. So the whole Satanic Panic thing, I think people picked the wrong lightning rod when they pointed Black Sabbath.
One of the interesting things we pointed out on the second show, because the second show was when we talked about how everybody started going after heavy metal. And the way that it started with the heavy metal is you had a young kid, I don't remember how old he was now, but he was convicted of murder, and he was wearing an AC/DC shirt. And so the media kind of ran with that, and it just blew up, and they kind of started blaming heavy metal because when the kid killed somebody, he was wearing an AC/DC shirt. And you already had all the stuff going on from like the Michelle Remembers book, and everybody thought Satanists were behind the corner trying to steal your kids and sacrifice them. And then it just went to that. And then we talked about last week, I went through all 72 video nasties.
And I will point out that I believe I am the only critic who has full reviews of every video nasty, and that's all on my website, worldsgreatestcritic.com. So if you guys are interested in what he's talking about there, I know you already talked about it on your show, but if you want to read some more, worldsgreatestcritic.com, you'll find every one of the video nasties covered in great detail by
I'm gonna do it, man, because like I didn't have time to really go into much because it's 72 of them, and we had limited time on the show, so I didn't talk about every single one in detail. Oh, that is so cool. So cool. So y'all get on there and check that out. That's awesome, man. I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't come up. But yeah, we've only just, as our friendship has developed, we've only recently been talking about horror movies, and you and I are both into a lot of these Italian films. So I think that you'd have a good time there, and we'd have a lot to talk about.
Oh, I'm definitely checking that out, man. Absolutely, for sure. So y'all check out JC's stuff. Check out the movie on Tubi. Check out his books. For sure, check out this anthology that is out there. Give a holler at Bert's stuff too. I am going to try to have Bert back on here in the future so he can go more in depth about his story and some of the stuff that he's got out and the things that he has coming up and everything like that. I hate that he wasn't able to do it, man. Bert has such a great sense of humor.
He is awesome. He's an awesome guy.
The stuff he posts is just, D-slapping hilarious, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was a great group of authors that got together
I completely agree. And what I want to say is that, like when there's just no ego is as great as everybody has been. There's no ego here. There's nobody is like trying to push to the top. I've made so many good friends, yourself included. I mean, you've been excellent, not only as a writer, but as a friend. And when it comes to some of these other things, we've been talking about as a group, what are we going to do next? And I've said very specifically, hey, I don't have to be the editor of the next one. You guys want to do something, I'll submit to you. I don't have an ego about this. And so when Bert said, hey, I want to do Blue Oyster Cult, I said, here's my story. I'm writing that next. And so it's that kind of thing, that there's just no ego with this group. It's beautiful teamwork, and I couldn't be happier with every one of you guys.
Yeah, it's been great, man. And a lot of that comes with, a bunch of us are seasoned authors and been at this for a while. And, there's just no room for that. And everybody wants to see everybody do well,
Amen. And just bring everybody up. And it's just been so positive. And I really that's one of the things I really have enjoyed about you personally, is that every once in a while, I'll just get a message. Hey man, how you doing? I'm like, oh, there's my buddy Ezekiel Kincaid. I love it. So don't ever change, my friend. You're a wonderful guy.
Thanks, man. Thanks. She stole my thunder. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for telling us hello. We're talking about, actually about to wrap up here in just a minute, but we've been talking about the Black Sabbath Anthology that we've got out. It is available on Amazon and will be available on Godless in just a few days. I'm going to go ahead and pop that cover up one more time. Just to remind everybody who's just tuning in, Symptom of the Universe, Black Sabbath Charity Anthology. 44 different stories, right?
44
different stories, a song from each Black Sabbath album. Over the years.
Everyone with new material, anything with new material, it's covered.
So it's massive. It's big, and it's not a retelling of the songs. It is a artistic interpretation of the song put into story form. 44 different stories, not 44 different authors, because some of them have, you got several in there. What did you say? 3, 4, 7? How many?
Actually, 7 total, and there's 2 of them that I co-wrote with our fellow authors there, and they've been fantastic. I mean, that's what I was saying about teamwork. The collaboration's been great.
Yep. And this is a charity anthology that goes towards the Dio Cancer Fund, and also,
and that was very important.
Very important, yeah. I'm a cancer survivor myself, so this was definitely one that was, close to my heart as well. So
definitely,
we got that, and y'all be sure to also check out. Let me mention this. I know we had some new people popping in. JC Macek is up here with me. He is the kind of the lead editor on this project. He is also a very talented and gifted writer. I put his link in the chat. You can find his Amazon stuff there. He is also a screenwriter and filmmaker. You can watch his movie Cargo that is on Tubi, and there's also a novelization of it. I put a link in there too for Bert Edens. He was another author who was supposed to be up here with us tonight, but because of he's all the way vacationing in Spain, and the technology was just not connecting. It wasn't working, so he wasn't able to join us tonight. But he is in the anthology with a great story called Bitches Holler. And I put his link in there. He's got some books out as well that you want to check out too. And he's got some new stuff coming up. I tried to get Bert up here. The perfect time to get him up here would be the Blue Oyster Cult anthology.
Yes.
We'll get him up here for
that.
Got
to promote that one because it's going to be great.
Gotta start working on that thing, man. So
I can't wait to read yours because yours. I can only imagine what you're going to come up with.
I just got to figure out what song, man. That's going to be the tough one.
I just spoiler warning. I did Joan Crawford, so if you can imagine Blue Oyster Cult's Joan Crawford has risen from the grave with a little bit of JC spin on it. That's what I'm submitting.
Ooh, okay, nice, very very cool. I know we've got some. Hey, Native Wild Man, welcome to the chat. Thank y'all for coming to hang out with us. And hey, PW, you're back. So, JC, thank you so much for joining me. tonight, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were able
Great to be here.
Yes, come and hang out with us. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in across all platforms, the PPR channel, my Facebook page, and the Yo Baby channel. Thank you for everybody participating in the chat. We appreciate all of the support. And y'all know that after each show, we like to play a little inspirational video that that Dustin has put together for us. So stick around for that, and we will see everybody Sunday. I'll be back for Immortal Shadows. We're going to finish up the bowl judgments in Revelation. And then Thursday for Southern Discomfort, we are hopping into our movies for our countdown to Halloween. So we will see y'all all next time.
Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I break these walls and hold my head up high, and I swear my God until the day I die. As the rain falls down, there's no more tears to cry, tears to cry. So I break these walls and hold my head up high. No, I'm not giving in. No, I'm not giving.